Good afternoon, everyone. It's Sunday, November 8th, a little bit after 3 o'clock. This is Amy, the Mystic Rose Tarot. And today, I am very pleased to share with you this specific deck, the Witch's Wisdom Tarot by Phyllis Curott. And what I'm going to do is, there's already been a few reviews of this deck, but I'm going to go a little bit more in depth with my intuitive feeling that I'm getting with the deck and the energy that comes from it. This is a deck that's been in the works for a while, and Phyllis has obviously put all her time and energy into this deck. And Phyllis Curott is a high priestess for over 30 years, and she has her own temple. I believe she's based in New York. And just reading a little bit about her bio, she is a humanitarian. She is an advocate for rights, human rights, specifically for women. She's a lawyer, so she's done talks and she's done lectures, about the adversities that a lot of women have gone through. And I'm just going to make one quick point in relation to the election results from yesterday. We now have a female vice president-elect, where a lot of us, women, minorities, we are looking forward to some changes. So the arrival of this deck and working through this deck is actually very timely. So the Witch's Wisdom is the book, or is the tarot deck that I'll be working with for the next few weeks, and just kind of putting out the energy as to what's going to be happening in 2021. This deck really connects with the human soul and how it can be empowered by Mother Earth, all the elements that are outside. But I will go into that. I just want to give a quick run through of Phyllis Curott and her stance for human rights, women's rights, especially when it comes to religions, practices such as Wicca, pagan. This is now starting to grow, the popularity of this, hence tarot decks and other forms of divinatory practices, the occult. So can't really close an eye about that. So this deck, even though it has the term witches in it, witches, when you break it down, means wisdom. So it's, and this wisdom basically in this deck stems from Mother Earth, and you'll see it in the images that I'll be showing. So let me get my drink of water, my life source, and I'm going to give a run through of the packaging and a little bit of the book itself. Excuse me. And the book I like because it's not meaty. It's, I think it's about 150 pages, if even that. It's about 150. And I think this is the thickness of the book. It's not very thick. And I love these guidebooks. When I've done tarot deck reviews, I make reference to the guidebooks and how much information's in it. And I like it that it's thin because it leaves the practitioner who's working with the deck to focus more on the images and building up your intuition and your connection to the deck, more so than every detail, Rider-Waite-Smith interpretation, Doft interpretation. I just like it to be very simple and leave it up to the person who is working with the deck. to sort of use it as a guide. Anyhow, excuse me one moment. We're day 2 of a winter storm up here in the mountains, so I'm in my overalls because I had to go out earlier to take a look at the status of the backyard because there's been a lot of wind and stuff was falling. So I'm mountain dressed right now. So let's go to the packaging. The coloring of the packaging is blue and gold. This is what we have here. The book design has the magnetic. See the 2 magnets there? And then on the back, it showcases some of the images from the deck. This deck was released October 27th, and I got it through Amazon. And then the one thing that I like that a lot of these decks, through larger publishing companies, you get a bag. And this bag is wonderful. It's sort of canvasy and has a burlap rope. So it's keeping it very, very earthy, natural materials. And then here is the icon that's on the back of each of the cards. But the coloring of the backing of the cards is gold, and I'll show that to you in a moment. So we get a nice bag. And then before I get to the book, actually, let me show you this. So Phyllis has created for intentions, for incantations that address, actually 5, that address the 4 elements in the spirit. And then we have the fox here on the bottom, who is the guide for our fool, who's known as the Pilgrim in this deck. And this clever creature will be making itself known throughout some of the cards. So I love what Phyllis wrote here. So this is in relation to the air element. This is magic of feather, song and air, awaken, inspire, and make aware. This is for fire. Magic of claw, earth, and fire, warm, enliven, and inspire. Water element. Magic of fin, womb, and water, love and dreams conjure. Doesn't rhyme, but it still suits the need. Magic of fur, seed, and earth, embody, nourish, and give them birth. So when we get these 4 elements together, it wraps up with magic within and around, awakened spirits, answers, and guidance taken. And I love this, and I feel like this is what I would, if I was to be doing any kind of circle work with the tarot, I would probably open it with this because it's calling in the quarters of the 4 elements and encompassing it with the circle to make it the pentacle, and also the directions north, south, east, west. I think this is wonderful. Inside the box, see right there, it states, ask your questions, shuffle the cards, open the book and take a look. Spirit hears what's in your heart and answers with love, wisdom, and art. So that's another affirmation, or more meditative, I would say, for using this deck. It's wonderful. So that's the packaging. There's gold here, trim on the outside. Just notice that. We've got the canvas bag, which is a very wonderful touch for this nature-influenced deck. And then the guidebook, it has a linen finish, but it's a coarse linen finish. You know, We're entering the forest. And we have our introduction page. You see right there, which is wisdom, how to use the tarot. Pretty basic with all tarot decks. The meaning, the gift of sight, how to work with this deck, divination, messages, and magic. And she has a few spreads, I think, but really not that many. And I don't know if that's something that kind of annoys people or not. But again, I like maybe to get like one or two layouts that comes with a deck, just for guidance. And then from there, once you work with the deck and maybe apply the layout, which I'm looking for right now, you can maybe in turn create your own layout. So she has single card divination, just like a 1-card spread. It's not even a spread, just a 1-card pull. Then 3-card spread. And this is one that I will try. I'll try this week. It's called the Compass Rose Reading and Spell. And that's the layout that we have. And again, you're invoking all the 4 elements. You're starting in the center. It starts out a little bit like a Celtic cross layout. But what happens is there's a second spin of cards that you put on the outside. And those are cards 7, 8, 9, 10. So when you lay these cards, they're placed in the direction of the element. So air will be east, water will be west, earth north, fire south. And then you have, again, those 4 cards on the outside of the spread. And the first 6 cards that starts the layout describes current influences. And then the outlying cards, 7 through 11, describes the best course of action and likely outcome. So it's almost like a modified Celtic cross, but again, we're calling in the powers of the elements, the 4 elements, which I think is it's wonderful. So I'm really looking forward to like really spending time and connecting with this deck. It also reminds me, I have it right here on the side. Actually, let me show a few of the cards, and then I'll bring in this other deck. There's this other deck that I got about a year ago, and this was my, or it still is, my seasonal deck for this time of the year. It's more or less my winter deck. It's the Forest of Enchantment. And what I'm going to mention is that with the Forest of Enchantment, I see just elements design-wise and also energy-wise that sort of relate to this, that relate to the witch's wisdom. It's, again, I'll just pull a few cards from the Forest of Enchantment after we've gone a little bit through the witch's wisdom. The size of the witch's wisdom tarot is large. Large in the size that they're almost related to, their size relate to almost the oracle decks. So they're probably like, let's say maybe like 3.5 by 4 or 5. So what I'm going to do is we'll go through the major arcana. I'm still connecting with the major arcana. Whenever I get a new deck, I start with the major arcana, and then I go through the suits. And so right now, for evening meditations, I always work with the major arcana. I use the major arcana as my guides to guide me through my dreams, any healing work that I need to do, shadow work. Those archetypes, the major arcana, are very important. So again, those are the cards that I work with my nightly meditation, this is how I've been introducing myself slowly with the Witch's Wisdom Tarot. So because of that, they're going to be out of order. And also, Phyllis has changed the naming of the major arcana. So what we know as the Fool is the Pilgrim. The Magician, I believe, is under a different name, but we will go through this. And again, I have reference to the book too, to pull information from. So we're going to start with the major arcana. Let me get this here. And it's interesting too. This is the second deck that I've gotten where the guidebook begins with the major arcana, like going through the major or through the minor arcana first, and then the major arcana last. And I like that's a different way of introducing yourself to the deck. Instead of going right to the archetypes, you're going right into connecting with the elements and the tools that are used and represented for those elements. So, okay. So I have to go back. Bear with me. I'm shuffling through here. Okay. So I'm going to do this in such a way because Phyllis doesn't use the Rider-Waite-Smith for the major arcana titles. So I'm going to pull the last two cards that I worked with for this deck. So here's the Pilgrim. The Pilgrim is the Fool. Now, normally with this deck, the deck starts out with the world, because what we see, and I should have ordered this, but it's okay. The world is basically a card where we see the Pilgrim or the Fool leaving everything behind and is in the process of starting their journey. And that's basically when we see the Fool in any of the decks, we're already seeing them in the process of the journey. We're not really seeing what they left behind. In this case, Phyllis does bring attention that the World card actually is the first card that starts off the journey, and then the Pilgrim. So we're following on the shoulders of the Pilgrim and what that person's exploring. And then, of course, we have the Fox here for protection and for making quick decisions under, unforeseen circumstances, if anything is to arise. So that's our Pilgrim. And then we have the Star card. Also the numbering is different. So the Star we normally see associated with Aquarius, and it's a sign of looking towards the future. But in here, the Star, we're seeing the Pilgrim through the journey, just taking some time, taking some self-care time, and just sort of reflecting so far what's been happening on this journey. And we see, I'm going to move a little closer here. She's in the water. She's coming into connection with the emotions, the intuition. And we see a fish right here floating through. Then we have like a toucan bird. She doesn't make reference too much to the specific animals that are represented in the cards. And then we have the dragonfly, which is for heightened knowledge, spiritual awareness. And then, of course, we have the crescent moon, connecting with the phases of the moon. But here, the Star card is, my interpretation is more of self-care. Taking that moment to take care and rejuvenate. And then she has, I'm going to go here. This person here has the pentacle for protection and for guidance. And here we have love. See the connection between two souls that are like-minded in regards for giving and taking of love and feelings. You know, you take care of me, I take care of you. Unconditional love. And we see the butterflies in the background. We see dandelions here in the foreground. Everything's growing. Everything's healthy. This is a healthy card. But of course, when we have a card that has this kind of energy and it is held in a reverse position, and by the way, Phyllis does not have reversal meanings for this deck. And I agree with what she stated, that a lot of the cards, or the cards in her deck, you can read them as negative as well, depending where they're placed in the layout or the situation of the person's circumstances that you're reading. You can read into the cards and pull that kind of energy if you feel that some issues need to be addressed more specific. So there's no negative meanings or interpretations in the book. She leaves it open and letting the cards speak for themselves. And I forgot to mention, I wanted to show you the back, the cards. So it's a very deep blue, and this is more like a yellowy gold color. And again, this is what we see on the canvas bag that holds this deck. And here we have Ancestor, remembering where we came from, the roots of who we are, spiritually, physically, emotionally, mentally, where the sources come from. And here we see a mature woman, ancestor, could be great-grandmother, and the knowledge that she has and how we can look towards that. The Strength card is empowering, because we have the different influences of the animals here. We have, looks to be a polar bear. We have the ram. I believe that's the beaver. Got the coyote, squirrel. We've got two squirrels there. We even have a skunk. We got the fox. This could be a red squirrel. And then we got the moose. And here we see this person holding the staff, where we're already seeing growth, and also what she's taken from the growth. It's how she's connecting through nature for the knowledge and strength that she needs. And there's the snake there. And these are all animal spirits that have different levels of strength and can guide you in different circumstances. I don't want to go into great details, because this will end up being 2 hours long. But just look at this card, and just, it's really self-empowering. There's respect with this individual when it comes to connecting with animals and nature, and the other way around. These animals are very instinctual. They know when something's safe or when something isn't wrong. And here is an understanding and respect that goes on both sides. And that inner strength coming on the outside. What you project, what you have inside and you project outwards will come to you, whether it's good or bad. Okay, and here's our guardian. We're in the horns of a stag. the sickle. We have the boar, guardian of Mother Nature, the masculine side. And all these are placed in a nature environment. There's no city life. There's nothing that's contemporary in this deck, which I love. I've made a few comments in the past how I connect more to images like this. The Wisdom Keeper, and I believe Phyllis makes reference to this as the Hierophant. Though we don't have a scene of individuals listening, but we have the dog there, loyal, always there for the Hierophant, for the Wisdom Keeper, for guidance. Balance. For some of the cards, I won't say anything because I do want the cards to speak out. And if there's one that I feel that's calling me to make a comment or a reaction to, I will. Maze. The storm approaching in the distance. Getting yourself out of the situation before it gets worse or more challenging. What path are you going to take? The High Priestess card. Roses. And come up there. She's a for baton. And the Priestess, we know, is in connection with the moon and the deeper side of one's spirituality and their intuition and esoteric knowledge. But in this card, I feel it's more connecting with the moon. And also we have to remember this isn't the moon card, but the moon's energy, as enticing as it can also be deceptive. You know, we get lost in the beauty of what we see and we start dreaming and whatnot. And we need to make sure that we're grounded and that we do have a direction that we're working on inside. The High Priestess here, or the Priestess, is here to guide us through that. And this is typically, well, I guess not. I was going to say, with the Forest of Enchantment, they have a similar card for the world. But here it's the counsel to all beings. And these are the elements, the animals that we connect to call upon for guidance. And here we have the tree of life. And then above is the cosmos, attaining that knowledge. I like this here, the shadow of birds here. It's not an elk. Oh, I can't remember the name. And then here we have the shadow of the giraffe. And then the power, the whale. I'm going to go through quicker, talk less. Here we have the shaman. I like the blindfold. Just feeling. That's why when we meditate, we close our eyes. We close our eyes and many things to connect with. So our senses can be heightened. You will hear things a lot clearer by not looking. Some people say if they close their eyes and they're listening to like music or listening to someone speak, it sounds a bit louder. And it's not louder, it's still the same tone, it's just that your ears are now focused on the hearing and your eyes aren't becoming the primary visual focus. It's the hearing. So again, close your eyes. This is another way. If you want to connect to some of these cards here in the Major Arcana, go out and experience. Kind of put yourself in that situation. And I'm talking too much, so let's keep going. Here's the Moon card. I like the reflection, so we see the crescent, phases from waxing to waning and waning to waxing. Primal animal instincts, how we feel. How we feel during the moon phases. And tomorrow, Monday, I'm back with Mystic Moon Mondays. I talk about the moon energy and the phases that the moon is in, the signs and how they all influence each other. Here's initiation. Now this is the second card in the journey for the Pilgrim. Okay, and again, I'm showing the Major Arcana out of order. And this is her experience into the unknown. You see the foxes going into her bag. They're trying to get into her bag. We have the crow that's trying to get to her hat. And then if you look here in the background, it's either a badger or a raccoon. I would say it's more of a raccoon, took one of the shoes. Welcome to the world of nature. You get initiated. You sometimes have to throw yourself into situations cold and just go, okay, let's experience this. Here's the sun. And I can't tell, I'm sorry, I cannot tell if this is a heart or some form of creature. Again, Phyllis doesn't make reference to all the specific detail that's in the cards. But I'm just going to say intuitively, and by the way it looks, this is the heart. So here's in the sun, ruled by Leo. Leo rules the heart. So it's courage. I can read this card as this person giving their heart, their courage, their strength, their vitality to share with you. And then we have the butterflies in the background. And potentially an eagle in the back, I'm not certain. But the energy in these cards are just wonderful. Here's the journey. So you may read the Major Arcana more like oracle cards, and that you intuitively can just draw yourself into the scene and relate to different aspects of the scene and the information that you get from it. There's an exercise that I recently discussed about visualization with your tarot cards and how the best way to connect with the cards is actually to attach all the senses: hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, feeling every aspect of the card that you have. And you slowly start merging into the card. And then next thing you know, you start experiencing at a greater level, what's happening in this card. Okay, so this is a Great Mother. It's not graphic, but her seating posture is. So this card may take someone aback. Okay, so we have the Great Mother. We have the owl. She's seating in a position of letting go, releasing. We have flowers that are flowing as form of abundance. She's holding her child, giving it health and sustenance. And we have here the hare for fertility. And then we have the bear for strength, for guidance. And then, of course, we have the owl for intuitive and also intellectual guidance. And again, there's a respect. As you notice so far, there's very few images of humans in the cards. And even with the humans, you see a connection to Mother Earth. And there's such great respect here. And that's the premise of this deck, which is wisdom. Wisdom is that connection to Mother Earth. And by understanding that, and that's why the minor arcana is broken up into elements, not cups, swords, pentacles, and wands. These are all elements. And I have another deck that's like that. It's broken up into Ace of Air, Two of Air, so on and so forth. That's the tool that you use, the element source itself. Okay, so here is the Wheel of Life, the Wheel of Fortune. And it's interesting too. I'm trying to think. There's another deck, I think it's in my collection of working decks, where the Wheel of Life is portrayed in such a manner like this, where the spider and its web is prominently in the center. And you know how the spider is. The spider webs creates its web of its never-ending spirals, and it's growing outward. You start from the inside and go outwards, and it takes time. It's a lot of work. But here, Phyllis connects it to different aspects, also relating to the seasons. We have the Cauldron, the Lemniscat, Harvest. Maybe this is summer. I'm not sure. This could be spring. I guess I'm feeling Imbolc. Maybe the sides for spring. This could be Pentacles. And also we see the changing of the plants here. And some of the cards here, the roses. The apple cut in half. The Wheel of Life. Then we have Rebirth. And we have Pentacle there for guidance. And keep in mind, this is the Fool or the Pilgrim's journey, and the transitions and experiences that individual's having through its connection through nature. Here's the World card. In the World, normally numerically 1, this would be the Magician, but ideally this is what I was mentioning at the beginning of the video, this is the start of the Pilgrim's journey, leaving behind the metropolis the stress, everything that came with it. It is time to leave. And it's time to explore. And I feel it is so important as soon as travel restrictions are lifted, go and travel. Get out of your environment. Get out of the state. Get out of the country. Challenge yourself. Go to areas that you normally don't see. Go to a place where you don't understand the language. That gives you more of the opportunity to connect with people. You don't want to go to a place that's very familiar, that's too comfortable. That's like, I don't even know what that is. That's a vacation. But a journey is going to explore other cultures. There's no McDonald's, there's no fast food. You're focusing exclusively on that country and the people and everything involved on this. Here's the offering. Here is the individual giving back to nature because it has received. It is just so important to remember everything that you've been working on, manifesting, abundance, health, spiritual, so on and so forth, is so important. And you have to give back once you start receiving signs of growth and inner strength. This is offering. Ian, hi. Ian, this is actually a deck review. I'm not doing any readings for this video. So I'm gonna have to pass because I'm focusing exclusively on the review of this deck. So you're more than welcome to watch. And as I'm drawing cards, maybe you'll find a card that would speak to you. But specifically, I can't answer that question for this video. But please feel free to come back. I'll be back on Monday for Mystic Moon Mondays, or Wednesday when I do oracle readings. But if you can, Ian, you're more than welcome just to hang out. Okay, so here's the healing card. And this is a wonderful card in relation to the turn of events here in the United States politically, with President and Vice President-elect. The direction from here on in, once they come into office, is to start healing, start rebuilding, start creating unity. Again, we've had unity before, but it's been dismantled. It's been pushed down. This is a wonderful card. Wonderful card of starting over. Okay, so that was our major arcana. Now I'm going to be moving through, actually, yeah, let me just show you really quick. I had mentioned about the Forest of Enchantment deck. I want to just show you, for anyone who's been watching so far, just imagery, the relationship between the two. I have very few decks because I'm not a tarot deck collector. The decks that I show are the ones that I do end up working with. And the Force of Enchantment, like here, it just flew out of my head. This is the Forest of Enchantment. I'm just going to start pulling some cards out. So just some similarities. So this could actually end up being a deck, the Forest of Enchantment, that I can connect with. And this is a little bit more different. This is the Hangman. And then we have Balance. Interesting, I pulled these cards randomly. So just to briefly show the feel and the energy of these cards. So again, this is Forest of Enchantment, and this is the Witch's Wisdom. Okay, so let's move on to our elements. And it's funny, when I do deck reviews, I've stopped doing, and I haven't done one in a year or so, a little bit over a year. I stopped doing unboxings because unboxings, first impressions can sort of be just like shock or amazement more than you expected. I kind of want to get those feelings taken care of before I actually do a video, so that when I go in and do a live or do a discussion, I can already say, hey, this deck feels more on the heavier side, or this deck is more on the lighter side. But no surprises. And there's been decks that I've seen deck reviews where people are just like, oh my God, this deck is this, the quality is that. And that's kind of unfortunate, but we make our investments and hope that the deck that we have is the right one. Okay, so here we go. Minor Arcana, again, the Minor Arcana is all situated with the elements. So these I'm going to go through a little quicker. So we have the Harp. And the beauty in this card is just wonderful. The harp made out of bones. The claw. And aces are beginnings. We pluck the harp and we're sending that energy out. Hedgehog. And imagery-wise, again, this is no Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And if you look closely, we have the bald eagle, the nest. High up, very high up on the trees, to really look at everything, see where everything is placed, what direction is it going to. And here we have 5 of air. The owl protecting her young during times of strife. And the owl's partner standing guard, being protective of the environment. Here's your 6 of air. 2 swans with the 4 young swans, but also in the distance, if you see, there's the fox. That's what's separating the swan from the fox, is the lake, the water. But here is the swan is just more, the swans are just focused more on what's going on in the moment. And also to watch their young. And I also feel like they do know that there is a predator at the foot of the lake there. Move this over. Seven of air, and this is referred to as the witch's ladder. And let me pull up. So we use this card to create magic. Feathers are used in spell work to create the movement of the intention, the spell that you're doing, to send it out. Different species of birds and their feathers, all attached to a ladder of sorts, string to create a ladder. A witch's ladder is a spell to make a dream come true. 7 feathers, each from a different bird, are knotted to a cord and tied to a tree branch. Each feather is a charm, free to flutter, spin, and dance in the wind, yet all are connected to the earth by an enchanted hagstone. It's basically a stone that has a hole set through it, and that's actually for a form of protection. Each feather has come to a witch as a sign, a signal, or an answer. A witch's ladder gives them all back with gratitude for the guidance given by a wise and loving universe. And I have quite a few feathers because of where I live, and there are just times when I'm doing my walks, I see so many feathers, but there just tends to be those certain kinds of feathers. They stand out to you for various reasons, whether it's their coloring, how large they are, or how small they are. These are still signs. If you're feeling that connection to those specific feathers, again, as it says here, it's clues, signs, insight, gratitude, offerings. It's letting you know that magic is present. Magic is there. It is time to work with it. And this is what I'm reading from here. Phyllis breaks this down into wisdom, which gives the explanation of the card, the knowledge that goes into the card. The key words, the essence, the counsel. What is the message? What are we to interpret from this card? Again, if you're reading intuitively, you can mix the information of the counsel and your own intuition. And then magic. With each of the cards, major and minor arcana, she creates a spell or an invocation or a tool that you can use to enhance the energy of that specific card. It's wonderful. Here for like 5 of air, she writes, take stock of what you do. This is magic, practical magic. Take stock of what you do in your daily life for your own convenience or comfort that causes harm elsewhere. What would you be willing to sacrifice to cause less harm or even make things better for others, for possibly Mother Earth? So yeah, throughout this deck, she offers different means of enhancing the energy of this card. Here we have 8 of Earth, with the well-respected eagle, or the eagle. This card was interesting, and I still see it. This is obviously 9 of air. And what I see in this card, there's bees, but this is a time of letting go, things that have already built up to fruition, and now it's starting to decay, it's starting to wither away. This is like a rotted, I don't know if there is such a thing as a rotted honeycomb. But when I first saw this, it looked like a slab of meat. And then we have the bees around it. And bees are obviously of hard work and fertility. But when I still see this, I still think of meat. So I have to kind of work with that. But in all the sense of this meaning here, this is of decay. It's time to let go. It's time to, will all eventually rot, break down, and then we're going to move into a new beginning. And then here we have the Ten of Air. This card I enjoy because it's related to murmurations. Murmurations are that phenomenon of tens and thousands of birds all together, and they make these beautiful shapes. They all group together in large clusters that I'm told can actually end up extending 2 to 3 miles. And they just move in formation. And when you look at it, it actually looks like it's some form of weird cloud weather phenomenon, but these are actually birds. The actual birds are, let's look here. Oh, bear with me. Starlings. And I'll move this card up close so you can take a look. And I believe murmurations don't necessarily have to be all starlings, but they are, murmurations are set to a certain species of birds. Here we have the messenger of air, the flying geese. And this young messenger, normally we know as the page. It's embracing the energy of this flying geese. This one, the witch of air, is wonderful. The witch of air, normally night. And here she is holding her tool. Phyllis makes reference to the name of the tool. It's not coming to me right now, but I have seen it. And you do this and it makes a sound faster. Almost anything that you have, there's like a bit of a weight at the end of it. As you spin it, you start hearing a sound. And you're manifesting. You're sending out that energy. And so here we have the witch of air, who is, and also the knights are of movement. Here the witch, she is creating her energy through the power of air. And here's her cloak. Beautiful cloak of wings. So she's spinning. She's spinning this and she's sending out that energy. What she has been working on. Craftsman of air. Okay, so this is king of air, or king of swords. So knowledge. Learning as much information that you can. Being the wise one, logically wise. You are the craftsperson of your mind. You take in the information, you understand it, you work with it, you manipulate it, and you send it out, you share it through discoveries and exploration. I'll show again here. This person's holding a globe, and here we have different geometric shapes to show the formation and the shifts of energy. Here we have Goddess of Air, Spider. With the wishbone, little knife there. So that's the air element. Here we go, fire. I'm just going to go through this because I'm already an hour in. So Ace of Fire. And the backing is the same on all the cards. These are all the same backings. Hello, Infinite Intuition. How are you? I'm going to keep going because I'm already an hour into this. Here's Two of Fire. We have the snakes intertwining. We're in the desert landscape. Ultimate energy of fire. Fire and earth. And this is Three of Fire. And here we have our, Here we have our lighted guides through this creek, if you will. Using the light and going into the darker realms to find our path. And here's Four of Fire. We have the foxes again. And here we have Mama Fox. For three youngins. Being watchful, being cautious, being protective. And Five of Fire. And in the guidebook, this interesting pattern coming in. And I believe Phyllis makes reference that this is a time where there's a lot of energy, a lot of fire, a lot of destruction that's going on, and it's something that you have to take control of. Here we have possibilities. We have the moths. That shows creation. That shows energy, that shows movement of what you are focusing on. And we have to be careful not to let the element of fire destruction come in and destroy everything that's been worked on. And again, when I'm giving these suggestions or explanations, this is intuitively from what I'm picking up from in relation to the deck and also visually what I see. Yeah, this deck's amazing, Infinite Intuition. It is wonderful. Six of Fire, Dragonfly. Dragonflies, if you have a deck or if you work with an animal oracle deck and you get a dragonfly, dragonfly is a wonderful sign of spiritually heightened awareness. It's best way to describe this. Look at a dragonfly. They're constantly moving. They're moving. They stay in one area and then they disappear. They experience things as it happens and then they move on. There's just so much information out there for the dragonflies to connect with. And here we have the two dragonflies that are meeting and they're forming a heart. And they're light creatures. the dragonflies. Right? You look at them, there's nothing heavy. There's no burden. There's no weight holding them down. They get their experience, they're aware where they are, and they move on. Take it, but also taking in the information at the same time. The dragonfly, you're saying, and so old. So you're making reference to them being wise. Ancient, yes. Yes, you are correct, actually. Dragonflies are one of the oldest insects. You can find them in fossilized rocks that are predating hundreds of thousands of years ago. They are ultimately the wise ones, also spiritually. Excuse me. Alrighty. So much knowledge, exactly. Okay, 7 of fire. We have the lion surrounded with roses. Beautiful energy. This is a very regal. This is a card that I feel holds pride, strength. Also, taking care of oneself in reference to the roses. Roses represent beauty and good health. And spiritual health as well. 7 of fire. 8 of fire. The baboons looking off in the distance. I think of gorillas in the mist when I see this. Or watching the sun go up or go down. And they're just contemplative. Fire is a form of energy, creative movement. But here it's more reflective, looking at the power and the energy of the sun. And the sun's also vitalizing. It's of good health. It's a very powerful source for direction. This card's very colorful. 9 of fire. Creation, abundance, have ladybugs. When I was younger, I used to collect ladybugs at grade school. So whenever I see ladybugs, especially with so many, I think about that time back in grade school. I always put them in my little sandwich bag after I was done eating. And I just love them. I just thought they were some of the most adorable, magical creatures. I didn't know why, I just love them. So here's creation. The outcome of all the hard work. The beauty, the health. That kind of energy that's been put into what you've been working on. 10 of fire, so nice. So here is 10 of fire. Oh, you hear the music. I hope it's not too loud. I have internet radio, and I have one of few stations that sometimes the music sits just well when doing my lives. So here we have a series of candles lighting that area in the forest. The forest represents our subconscious. It represents, the side that we don't see a lot of. And I've been discussing this a few times, how we always need at least a light during that journey into our darker self. It is so important. And again, it's okay to sort of lose yourself in the darkness. But again, my message is you don't want to get too comfortable and end up just drifting in the darkness and not getting anything done personally, spiritually, emotionally. You need to heal. These lights are guiding sources of healing. And if you look closely, okay, we have in the distance, these are the deeper recesses of our subconscious. These are the wolves. They're just waiting for those lights to start dimming down so that you can't see so much in the darkness. And then when all those lights are gone, you'll start hearing the growling and the howling, and then that fear comes in. You need to be ready for what's waiting for you in the shadows. And we have a little red bird. I could read that as maybe the bird that guided you to the specific area. And this bird is not safe as well, because anything could happen to it as well. It could fly off, or these creatures can come in and just take the bird. So just take light of where you are, your environment, and work with it at that time. This is a card of opportunity, to acknowledge what, any aspect of yourself, good or bad, that has occurred. And either you make peace with it, or you don't, and you end up dealing with some of the darker sides here. Okay. So now we're going to go into the court cards. The court cards have been, so far as I mentioned, in the air element. So the court cards are Messenger, Witch, Craftsman, and Goddess of Fire. Okay. And this deck is related to Phyllis Curott's background. She's a Wiccan high priestess. So there are references to gods and goddesses in her book. Not a lot, but on a few cards she makes references to specific gods and goddesses and how they can be empowering through this deck. Okay, so here's Messenger of Fire, normally known as the Page. You got the Ram there. Oh, I wish I could give an interpretation of all these cards, but that means, what's 5 times 78? I'm thinking like 5 minutes on each card times 78. That's a lot of time. Here's Witch of Fire, person who's using. Look at I also say that's an anaconda or a python that's wrapped around her. Either way, those are powerful animals, and they hold powerful magical properties. No, this is definitely not a Rider-Waite-Smith oriented deck, because the titles have been renamed in the major arcana, and the ordering, numerically, it's different. There is some sort of reflection, I guess you could say, with the Rider-Waite-Smith on a few cards, but not. This is its own system, and I've been growing with decks that I've purchased for this year. I'm moving away from RWS decks so I can explore and expand on other ways of other decks and their creators, and the way that they change the meaning. They create their own system. So here we have the Witch of Fire using the power of the python, incense, smoke, candle, guidance. Craftsman of Fire. I have a profile on Instagram, person that I follow, and he works with iron. He creates all these beautiful magical tools. And he's definitely a forger, and he shows videos of him hammering away at either different forms of metals and creating all these different spoons and necklaces, but really ornate, but putting magical properties into it. It's fascinating. So I think about him. I should post this card at some point and tag him with it, see how he feels about it. And then Goddess of Fire. Somehow I feel this is me. I look at this card and it's like, how come I can see that being me working outside? I don't know. It just feels like it's me. Because even though my backyard looks a little bit like this, even though it's covered in feet of snow right now, I definitely connect to this Goddess of Fire. The Goddess of Fire is normally the Queen of Wands and represents the sign of Aries. Yeah, she is wearing Uggs. Oh no. No, I'm going to take Uggs out of my head after you said that. Those are little booties. Those are just cute little booties that happen to look like Uggs. It's wonderful. Wrapped with animal skin. Okay, so that's the Ace of Fire. Moccasins. I like that better. Just tall moccasins. No need to apologize. I appreciate that. I try to, I avoid any form of modern contemporary references in the decks that I work with. That's just how I am. So when you said Uggs, I'm like, oh no. I'm not traumatized by it. I laughed, so. Okay, so our next element, we're winding it down. I have water and then earth. Okay, so here is our Ace of Water. And water we know is emotions, intuition. Beautiful connection. Two of water. Okay, and again, I don't want to go so much into the meaning of the cards. Let the cards speak to you individually. This is normally the Two of Cups, right? We see the connection between two like-minded creatures. This could be the mom with the, it's not an otter. I can't think of the name of these creatures. I love animals so much. I don't even know the names of most of them. I don't know them biological names. I don't know them by those names. They have beautiful energy. Here we have Three of Water. Actually, Infinite Intuition, the artist of this deck is, and I did not mention this, this is so bad of me, and my apologies. The artwork of this deck is by Danielle Barlow, and it's DanielleBarlow. Danielle Barlow has her own website, and she actually created an oracle deck using her art. And it's very much similar to this. I think it's called the Green Path Oracle. I had already ordered this deck, and then I found out about Danielle's work. And I went to her website, and I looked at the deck. It's like, you know what? I get the best of both worlds. I get Danielle's artwork, and I get Phyllis's spiritual Wiccan influences in the deck. So this, to me, works perfectly. Yeah, and she does, the reason why I mentioned this is you mentioned art pieces. She does sell individual pieces of her art, and it's beautiful. So anyhow, we have Three of Water. A very still scene. The decks are out of the water. They're just sort of contemplative. Contemplative. We have here the rainbow. And you can't have a nature animal inspired deck with the influence of water without having orca wells. I believe these are orca wells. I don't know. If there are different species, if anyone's watching this, let me know. The connection between the whales and their youngins. You don't think it's orca? Okay. Yeah, they look different. I've seen these whales before, and this whale actually comes up. Maybe. Humpback? Actually, you know what? Can you do a search for me and let me know? Because I still have to show these cards. So now it's going to bother me. Try humpback or blue whale. And then, of course, we have next polar bears. So sorry, 5 of water. It is a humpback whale. And here what's interesting is we see the healthy condition. It is. Thank you so much. Thank you. I have to look that up now. The humpback whale and their energy and their spiritual properties. Thank you. Yeah, 5 of water. This is such a hard card in the sense because of the state and the slow extinction of the polar bears. Here we have, I'm sorry, see the healthy polar bear. We see the youngins. We flip this around. You know, we're seeing the destruction of its environment. And Phyllis does make reference in the guidebook how we are destroying. We have been irresponsible to the environment. And so when I see this card, it really, I mean, don't think silly, but this really hurts because we're doing this. And there was a picture that came out probably about 4 years ago. A photographer showed a picture of a polar bear looking very much like this, more emaciated, where you were seeing the bones. And it was in its environment, and it was weak. And we're seeing the glaciers, you know, very low. And, you know, their food source is dying. So, and 5, we know of challenges and conflicts. Do what we can, everyone, please, to save the environment. I don't want to sound like a bumper sticker, but, you know, as I've gotten older, I've definitely appreciate nature, especially living up here. And it, you know, hurts me to see even roadkill up in the mountains. You know, it's hard. But yeah, we have to be responsible. And then 6 of water. Infinite intuition. What's the name of this one? It's not a pelican. And I've seen these. We've seen these water air creatures. You see them flying, and they have such sharp eyes. They can see their food right underwater, and they fly and they just go right into the water. It's not a pelican. This doesn't look like a pelican. Yeah, it's not. Kingfisher. I think that's it. That sounds about right. Anyhow, 6 of water. Kingfisher. I think it is. Okay. We're learning our animals here, you know. And here, 7 of water. This is a very abstract card, but what it looks like to me, can you see right here, 7 of water? No, it's too big. Okay. Here, I'll show you the card again. I don't want to get too distracted. If you come across it later at some point, next time we reconnect, let me know. Seven of water. So here, it looks like we're getting more of an aerial perspective and seeing, I don't know if it's a loon. I don't know. Here we're getting an aerial perspective, I'm feeling, looking down. This is obviously not an earth view, but this is like a local view and showing how we are losing our water, how we're seeing more dry areas in earth. I mean, global warming. Look, I don't want to start on this. So anyhow, we're seeing the diminishing of the environment and how we need to connect and see if we can slowly repair this. Eight of water. This is a beautiful card. You have all the turtles returning, migrating back into the ocean. We see turtles, they move very slow. They take their time. This almost, to me, feels like it's more Piscean energy. We have the moon in the distance, full moon. Last time I saw a scene like this, water-wise and moon-wise, was in Miami. And seeing a moon this full, almost rising out from the water, it was unbelievable. Never seen anything like it. And then again, turtles are land and water creatures, but they're moving back. They're moving back into their comfortable zone where they will nurture and grow and hopefully survive. Now, the chances of a lot of these turtles in the return to the ocean, their lifespan is not so great. But they just go out, let Mother Nature run its course. I think this happens every season. Some beaches, baby turtles hatch, and there's hundreds and hundreds. It's a seasonal event, and people go to the beach, and we watch these turtles run back into the ocean. Okay. Here's Nine of Water. I can't say much about this card. Lots of healthy looking fish. They're in their element. It's almost like freedom. There's no harm, I feel, in this card. Form of release. Okay, here we go. Here's our 10 of water. Okay, so we have a bit of a threat here with the Black Panther. What's going to happen here? What's the outcome? Normally 10 of water, 10 of cups is that fulfillment. You're in a place of emotional balance. And maybe here we're seeing the balance of the species in their environment. They are in, this looks actually more like a collage. The more I see this, the panther here is at home in its environment. We have the tree frogs and the large lilies with water dripping down. We have the toucan bird. Everything's in harmony here. Everything's in balance environmentally. We have two tree frogs on top of each other. That's so cute. Procreating, yes. Okay, so here we go to the court cards. I'm not going to even say these are court cards. They don't feel like court cards because there's no page, knight, king, queen. I'll call these more as guidance, spiritual guide cards. We have the messenger of water. I can almost read it like this too. Yeah. Oh, I just noticed this woman has webbed fingers. Yeah, it's very important when you do a tarot deck that you have that right artist. You need that artist, obviously, to be, it's teamwork. They have to be in equal communication with the direction of the deck. You don't want to get someone who is just so different from your perspective, and that creatively you create a deck. The imagery could be quite the opposite of what the author wants. And I think it's rare that happens, but you really need that connection. And Phyllis and Danielle really work together well. And Danielle's a hedge witch, so she knows about working with nature properties and herbs and connecting to those forms of energy. And so it brings across in the artwork. Here we have the Witch of Water, which being knights, movement, energy, the connection. She is the force to get things moving emotionally. We have the fish. We have the starfish. She is water. She is made of water. She thinks, lives the life of water. Okay, craftsman, king of water. Ocean, yes. I'm going to bring this back here. Yeah. Again, it's how you read. If you connect to a god or goddess, and as I mentioned, I believe Phyllis makes reference to some of the gods and goddesses. They may not be directly depicted in the deck, but more like their energy. Here we have the craftsman of water, king of water with his tool. Almost like a rain dance of sorts. We see the clouds in the distance and connecting to that energy, making that magic happen to the areas where it needs water. Wearing the mask of the stag, I would say. All right, I still got one more element, and this is wonderful, goddess of water. So we normally be ruled astrologically by Cancer. We see the crab there, but here we have the vessel, the womb, and the embryo. This is an intense card for those who really connect to water energy and the emotions and very maternal. Mother Nature, this is a very intense card. The octopus. And then we see the release, the birth. So this necessarily can be the creation of the human form, but also nature in its various states. And then this is the release. Because of it being water, it comes out in the forms of various kinds of fishes, tadpoles, excuse me. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. Okay, so that's our water. One more. Okay, it's an hour and a half, so that means I like the deck. If I didn't, it'd probably be wrapped up an hour ago. And I normally don't do that. I wouldn't do a review of a deck if I didn't enjoy it. and it wouldn't be part of my collection. Here is Ace of Earth. I've still yet to get to this element in this deck. I've looked at the cards, but to really spend time with it. So here's Ace of Earth. Two of Earth. I think this element's going to have a lot more animal influence in it. Here we have the bear, the baby bear, in its cave and its protective environment. Creating balance. Two of Earth is normally known as creating balance in all different aspects, but still remaining grounded. But this energy here is different. The stability comes by the environment that they're in and the influence that that environment gives to the animal. Okay, so when you work with this deck, just looking at it, and also when you get the guidebook, it's all connected to nature. Here we have the Three of Earth. So take a look at the environment that each of these cards have been in, and get a connection to the animal and the environment that it's in. Here's Three of Earth. Mini Stonehenge here. Here's Four of Earth. Grounding, stability, but also the placement of these stones in a very protected area. The area is healthy. It's showing growth and abundance. Hi, Jenna. How are you? I'm doing good. I'm almost done with this beautiful wisdom, Witch's Wisdom tarot deck. This is a stunning card. Look at the deck, or I'm sorry, look at this image very carefully. Okay, we know Five of Earth, Five of Pentacles, again, is of struggle, conflict, not seeing everything that's there. Here we actually see the hair, female hair, nursing, you could tell. And then those are her young babies. But then here we see the passing. We see the passing of the previous generation or the previous creature. It's like it regenerates. Okay, sounds good. Sounds good, Infinite Intuition. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a life cycle, but there's going to be challenges. There's going to be risks along the way. We have to be careful. And here we have the sickle. Sickle is used to harvest energy, harvest growth. And here is Six of Earth. You're welcome. Salamanders. Sorry, everyone, this went on long, but this is a beautiful deck. And I want to give it appropriate attention. These are stags, elks, very strong. Very strong energy here. Masculine energy, protective energy. Eight of Earth. You see a different perspective of Earth. If we take care of the environment, take care of our own needs, taking care of our own well-being, we start seeing the beauty, we start seeing the growth, we start seeing the outcome of this scene. And here's 9 of Earth. We're wrapping up the journey. All the work that's been done. And we have the Aurora Borealis in the distance. Time to move on. Okay, and again, this is not a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. It's a different way of reading the tarot through the influence of nature. And then we have completion. 10 of Earth. Bright red mushrooms in the forest. And then, again, this is the court aspect of this deck, but this really isn't court cards. So I'm going to be renaming the Page, Knight, Kings, and Queens more as spiritual guide cards. Spiritual messenger of Earth. Okay. And then we have Witch of Earth. Using the strength and wisdom of the bear and the grounding energy. Using those properties into the Witch of Earth's magic. For stability, for grounding, for abundance, and for dedication. 2 more cards, and then I'm wrapping it up. Craftsman of Earth. The skull. Craftsman is the king of pentacles, but here it's a craftsman of Earth. We're seeing the elements and the natural environment, life and death, the remnants, reminders of what wasn't able to stay, reminders of what was able to continue growing. Okay, and then we have the Goddess of Earth. And Earth is represented by Taurus. And let's see what's in her hands. Yeah, this is kind of hard to, can't read what's in her hand or in her hands, but here we have milk. Again, some of these images, as I mentioned, they're very feminine, Mother Earth goddess, again, oriented. So we'll see some form of nudity. There's the mother or the great goddess, I believe, or the great mother, where she's nursing a mom and she has a flow of roses, of flowers coming from between her legs. So, just be kind to yourself when you look at some of these images that you normally wouldn't see in a deck. They're very powerful. And also here, if you look closely, that's a beehive right there on top of the bull's head. That is that's brave. That is brave. Yes, and we have the pyramid. Spiritual balance, I could say. Milk for sustenance, nourishing of the earth. So you have to kind of read into some of the symbology in that sense. Like I said, gods and goddesses that Phyllis makes some reference to. You have to kind of understand the properties that they have to offer when it comes into these cards. And the goddess of earth is represented by Capricorn. But here it's the bull Taurus. I'm looking for anything else here. No. Also, if you look carefully too, it looks like a portal is opening up here. Like she's grounded, she's centered, she's focusing, and it seems like she's slowly, sorry, my hand's all over the cards, but it looks like she's slowly manifesting the opening, the cosmos through these sources. Another intense card. So that's it. That is, in an hour and 45 minutes, that is the Witch's Wisdom Tarot. Yeah, it has so many different aspects, universal, but again, it's all nature oriented. And so there's some people, they just don't connect to nature decks or animal energy decks. And that I feel is key when it comes to understanding who we are as individuals. We are animals. We have our animal instincts. We have that energy, we have that survival side to us. And so that's why decks like this, I feel, is important for tarot readers to explore, because it's taking the spiritual side of the tarot that we know, like metaphysically and whatnot, but putting it more into a simplistic form, going back to the basics. I'm going to pull this card again. Very simple. It's healing. And yes, you can use the tools of the cups, wands, pentacles, and swords for healing. But I feel that's almost more psychological. These decks that deal with nature and animal are spiritually oriented. And I'm noticing the more I talk with the decks that I use, I'm growing more in a spiritual direction. And I feel like it's more of healing and providing a message to people through my readings, how to heal, how to take care of situations, how to manage a relationship. Because when someone requests a reading, the premise of it starts with them. It comes inside. So we start looking into what's going on with that person who's asking about the reading. And then we see everything else kind of fall into place as to why there's a lot of goodness happening in one area and not so much in the other. It's a lot of self-healing. And people need to make that distinction if they're going to be working more in that direction of healing, instead of like that job. You can get any job that you want. It's just the connection that you have with yourself and that confidence that you have to go after it. Make sure the situation that you're in is suitable for you to be in, but you could get almost anything you want. It's just feel like you're the appropriate candidate for it. I'm going to pull one card from this deck from the Major Arcana. Okay, and this is the Shaman. And as I mentioned, when looking at this deck, the Shaman is all of listening, feeling, smelling, tasting. But to cover your eyes, to close your eyes and really take in the environment. I mentioned earlier the visualization technique of crawling into each tarot card so that you can truly connect with that environment. Feel how it is to be in that card. If it's a card that's very desolate or whatnot, go inside that card. Experience what the shaman is experiencing. Hear the birds, hear the wind blowing. It's a natural form of transcending yourself and connecting visually to these cards. It's just wonderful. It's excellent. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap it up. This is the Witch's Wisdom Tarot. This is the book, very thin, which I like. Phyllis offers 2 or 3 layouts, single card, 2 card or 3 card reading, and then the compass rose layout. She goes through 4 different explanations of each card: wisdom, the message behind the card, if you will, the essence, the key words, the overall feeling of each card. I can't see. The console, what this card is guiding you to. And then magic. She offers different ways of creating either a magic tool, an invocation, certain words to say, just to bring in and out the energy that you want from these cards. And it's very simple. It's like 150 pages of equal, if not even that. So I went on for almost 2 hours. This is a wonderful deck. Feel free to scroll through if you did miss parts of it, because I know people are bouncing in and out. But I really want to draw attention to this deck and go into more detail instead of just showing the cards and doing a quick flip through. This is the deck that I'm working with. And so when I do a walkthrough with a deck that I'm going to be working with, this gives me the opportunity to, like I said, intuitively share with you what I feel, what I see, and also people who are watching. What do you see and feel when you have this image or this image? And it's the Pilgrim. The Pilgrim has been renamed from the Fool to the Pilgrim. This is the start of the journey. So yes, please, if you do like, this deck is currently available on Amazon. You can also, I thought you can order it through Phyllis's website. I don't think you can. She just has the links to where you can order it from. Visit Phyllis's website. Visit Danielle Barlow, who is the artist of this deck. Visit her website. And just look at the artwork. I think this deck is going to be, it's going to be a popular deck. Like, I'm just feeling like it's going to be one of these decks like, oh, this is amazing. So again, it's Witch's Wisdom. Don't let the title put you off. Okay, the creator is a high priestess. She has a Wiccan background, but she doesn't, it's not heavily influenced with the Wiccan ways of doing things. It has the energy of connecting for her strength, Phyllis's strength with her practice, from what I'm feeling the deck deals with the spiritual connection to animal work and nature work. And that's a premise too with pagan. People who are pagans, they hold great respect for gods and goddesses because they are part of the earth. They are part of those 4 elements. So we've got to remember those 4 elements: earth, air, fire, water, and then spirit. Spirit encompasses all of those elements. Hence the pentacle that I have there. It's protective, but it's also empowering. So I could go on, and I don't want to. I don't want to go on any longer. I will be back tomorrow, though, Monday at 6:30. I do Mystic Moon Mondays twice a month. I'm going to see how long I'm going to continue doing that, and I may continue on, but put it under a different format or replace it with something else. So that's Monday, 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. I talk about moon energy, the phases that the moon is in, and the signs that the sign that the moon's currently in and how it influences us. I will, time permitting. I like to have an open discussion though with people in the chat, but time permitting, I will do a few readings. I'll probably do like 1, 2, 3 card readings, very quick. But my focus is on that. Tomorrow the moon is in Virgo. We are currently in Leo, so I'll discuss about the moon in Virgo, and also the sun is in Scorpio, so how those energies work for and against each other during this time. And then Wednesday, I do oracle readings. I have 4 oracle decks that I read from, and that's Wednesday. I think I have for either 2:30 or 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So I'm on the West Coast in the United States. Please join. Any comments, please leave them below. Any questions that you have. All my contact information is in the description. I left the links to view Phyllis's work and Danielle's work. Please explore this deck if it does resonate with you. It's a very powerful deck. That's it. Have a wonderful night. It's almost 5 o'clock. Have a wonderful night and a good week, and hopefully I will see some of you within the next few days. Thanks again, and be safe. And thanks again, Infinite Intuition.